lot of our viewers, Rachel, I have to say, are very nervous about this weekend, nervous about the scale of what's going to happen. We're going to be talking to William and Ray in just a moment about the choices they've made regarding opening their establishments. What are the police's concerns for the British public?
First of all, I'm really pleased for the licensing trade and for those people also that have been isolated a long time by themselves. So this is a weekend to be happy, to enjoy what the loosening of the restrictions provide for us all, but it's going to be different for us all. And in terms of the policing response, we are going to respond in terms of a busy weekend potentially, but people are going to be able to celebrate and enjoy themselves in different ways. And some people will choose to go out, some people will stay at home, some people will go to see friends, and the police will respond accordingly, depending on what we have to deal with.
I mean, we've seen what's happened in Leicester, of course, with them having to be locked down again. Do you have concerns that we could see that across the country if people don't sort of treat this weekend with the respect it needs?
You know, I think people are going to be responsible this weekend. I do think we realise that we're still in a pandemic. We are going to be careful and cautious around our arrangements for the weekend. And we all know what could happen if this doesn't work out. So from everybody, the police service, our emergency service colleagues, the licensing trade and everyone who might be out and about, I think we're going to be careful this weekend. I just ask people to be responsible and stay safe.
Would you have liked to have seen this managed slightly differently, though? Because a lot of people are saying, actually, for it to happen on a Saturday evening when everybody's more available to go out to enjoy themselves, perhaps for it to then get out of hand. Should it have been postponed to a Tuesday evening? You know, should the hours have been shortened? Do you think that more could have been done to ensure that it doesn't get out of hand?
I give a lot of credit to the licensing trade. They're very responsible on the whole, and they know their business. They have had to make assessments in terms of the health and safety, and they are going to look after their clients, I'm sure. And some have decided not to open at all. Some have decided to do this cautiously. And I believe that policing will be able to work alongside our local authority partners, the other emergency services and the communities to make sure that this is a safe approach. And this is what policing does. We police busy days all the time. Saturdays can often be busy. We have events like New Year's Eve. I don't think this is going to be anywhere near like a New Year's Eve, and policing will respond accordingly. OK, well, let's go to William, because, as you were saying, some licensees have decided not to open. William, you co-own Doc's Beers in Grimsby. That's exactly what you've decided. Why?
Well, we've put a lot of thought into this, Ben. We feel now is not the right time for us. We'd like to avoid that first wave of enthusiasm as people return to the pubs on what is typically the busiest drinking day of the week. You know, our first concern is the health and safety of our staff and customers. And we announced on social media a few days ago that we wouldn't be opening on July the 4th and would be delaying reopening. We had hundreds of messages of support and no negative feedback. So we really feel that decision is vindicated. So are you just going to wait and see what happens, or have you been talking about maybe saying we're going to go on the 10th of July or we're going to go in 2 weeks' time? We are taking a wait-and-see approach. It will be later in July and possibly even in August. We're mindful of that spike in Leicester. We hear that Doncaster down the road, 53 miles down the road from us, isn't far behind. This disease hasn't gone away. We're one of the busiest pubs in North East Lincolnshire. And when we do reopen, it's absolutely essential that we do so with all the correct processes in place, and we can manage what can be up to 400 people in this building, which is a challenge.
And I know, you know, you've been open for takeaways, haven't you? And I understand on Father's Day you already had queues for people waiting to get in for that. Are you worried about that time when you do make the decision to open up, just what that demand will be like? Because, of course, once you've opened the doors, that's it, isn't it? You have to sort of cope with whatever happens as a consequence.
That's right, Charlotte. And Doc's Beers has pivoted its business during coronavirus to e-commerce and online sales. And we started a very busy click and collect service on Saturdays. So we have hundreds of people coming to the building as well to collect their pre-ordered beer. So we now have to meld the click and collect service we've created with all the customers who want to return to Doc's Beers and drink here. So that is going to be challenging for us. When we do reopen, we will ensure that we do so that shop area and the drinking areas are completely separated. But that means completely transforming the way that we use the internal 7,000 square foot of space here. It's a big building.
Okay, well, one person who will be reopening this weekend is Ray Singh, restaurant owner. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. I know that you're going to have a reduced capacity, aren't you? How will you make this work? What sort of changes will people see?
So we did some scenarios. So like when customers walk in, there'll be a sanitised station. We'll be taking names, addresses. It will be pre-booked anyway. We won't be taking coats. We won't be sort of pulling out the chairs for them. So we're going to keep minimum contact as possible. We're not going to be using our menus anymore. There'll be disposable menus. We're just playing with scenarios, and we're going to be doing a lot of role playing with our staff today, just to put them in scenarios, because we're just thinking about, we just don't want any form of, I just can't want our staff to be at any form of risk, and we're just thinking of cross-contamination. So we're trying to think, okay, we've got duties, this is what we've got to do, and we've got to stick to it, and we've got to see how it works, because there's a lot of grey area by the government, by our local councils, to give us like 100% guidance on this.
Yeah, we had a hair salon owner a little bit on Deborah, and she's opening at midnight tonight so she can treat her first client. And she's just desperate to get her hands on some hair. It's what she loves doing. She loves looking after clients. She loves helping that change. I'd imagine it's similar for you in your restaurant. You love cooking for people. You love entertaining people. You love being able to give them food that they can delight in and enjoy. How much have you missed that, Ray? And how much are you looking forward to actually having people come through the door, albeit at in a very different atmosphere?
Yeah, we are very excited to see our regulars. It's exciting to have customers through the door, and you know, we're going. It's going to be weird because we won't be able to embrace them. We won't be able to kiss them. We won't be able to hug them. We've got to keep a distance between them. But it's in a way, we're really looking forward opening again and doing what we do best: hospitality, looking after our customers.
Ray, just to pick up on something you mentioned before about, you know, this kind of what advice you're getting from the government, what advice you're getting from the local council. Do you feel that there's been enough clarity? Are you suggesting there's sort of been some discrepancy between the advice that you're receiving? Because it sounds like you're having to make quite a lot of the decisions on the ground there about how you're going to manage this opening.
Yes, absolutely. It's a grey area. There's a lot. It's like playing Russian roulette. We're trying to use a lot of common sense. The government will say, well, that you're only allowed 30 people in a venue, or the council are saying, it's just they're sort of saying one thing and the government saying another. So we're using our common sense on certain things to limit that.